Here we go. Chapter 9. We are nearing the end of the book, so hopefully you took a looked ahead and went, dang, I'm almost done. We're also getting closer to the end of the course. So you definitely want to reward yourself and be proud of yourself. You've done a lot of hard work. We're not done. We still got the final stretch, but you've done a really great job. So be really proud of yourself because we're in the final stretch, which is exciting. So in chapter 9, what we're going to be focusing on here is integration. So now that we've understood and have a good solid understanding of what interdisciplinarity is and why it's beneficial and the good stuff that it has to offer and how we can be better thinkers along those ways, we want to talk just briefly a little bit about the integration of those different things and what that looks like. And that's what chapter 9 will focus on. It's going to talk about how facts, concepts, and generalizations of the various disciplines and what those things hold in common. So as we put it together, what are those common threads between them? Obviously, one of them is the problem that we're looking at. And this is done through a couple of primary approaches. And one of those is contextualization. And in contextualization, what you're going to be doing is trying to be able to explain how things are connected. And this will often involve making assumptions about the disciplines. So we're looking for those common threads. We're looking for those connections in the process of several people see this one thing in this way. So where are we coming together? And you'll see this if you study and look throughout things. You're going to see it involved in science. You're going to see it involved in arts, history, culture, different pieces of things like that. And it also allows for more creativity as we go through that. So when we say something's from a certain era or a certain thing, what are those things that makes it true? Do you ever walk into something and say, oh, that's from the 70s, or oh, that's from the 80s? Well, how do you know that? What are the parts that makes that look like it's the 80s to you? Is it the color? Is it the texture? Is it the style? What are all those things that come together to make that one piece? So we're going to be looking at that in contextualization. The next one is conceptualization, which they look very similar, but they're different words, obviously. So in conceptualization, we're looking at what's involved in making meaning from the different concepts that on the surface may apparently have no contact or no common thread. So we're going to take it apart and we're going to find meaning behind that to look a little bit deeper at the situation. And this is really done through the problem-centered approach. So your book will highlight a problem-centered approach and what that takes. So we're not looking at all the elements. Again, we're going to focus on that particular problem, and we're going to then take it apart a little bit and accent about everybody feels this way or everybody feels that way. So what are those connections that we're going to be making in that? What are the main concepts that we need to focus on? Something that we're going to move into here in this chapter, and then we're going to continue on into a future chapter, is called the broad model. And this is very helpful with integration. It's going to help you to be a critical thinker, and it's going to help you to put your integrated thinking in practice. Now, while you will not have to write or solve a problem in this particular class, you might in future classes. And in this class, you're not going to have to solve a problem, but I want you to understand how it would be done. And so in your assignments in the class, you're going to be taking that apart and showing me the pieces and parts of how that might look or what might happen and what would be the process that you would go through. So that's really important. And so the broad model, it helps us to be deeper and more critical thinkers as we also take apart that problem. So it's really in the problem-focused approach. It draws on all the different disciplines for the insights, and it identifies those. It uses the discipline's tools, such as assumptions, concepts, theories, and methods, to help to study the problem and understand it from the different perspectives. It maps the complex problems to reveal their complexities and their links. So again, something we talked about in the last chapter, that mapping. So that's going to happen in that broad-based model. And it then critically evaluates the insights in the stakeholders' views. Again, we talked about that in chapter 7, the critical thinking and how important that is. Also our investment. Somebody may be invested in seeing it in a certain way. So we have to make sure that we're not bringing our biases to the table. It also then allows to make the integration process broken down into steps so that it makes sense and it's logical and it's not overwhelming. And finally, it creates common ground using the different disciplines. which again is always your goal as an interdisciplinarian, is to find that common ground, find where we can come together, and that's probably where the solutions lie. There are 4 strategies that are very helpful in using that integration techniques in the disciplines. Even if those disciplines seem to disagree, we can go back and find that common ground by using those techniques. And one of those is redefinition, and that's focusing on the key concepts. The concepts, not the words. You saw me in an earlier video where I talked about different disciplines may use different words, different jargon for some things that are the same or very, very similar. So they may be talking about the same thing but not hear each other because they don't realize that. So you want to focus on the concepts here, not the words. You also, hold on a second, I've got to change my page. Need to be organized and using processes such as mapping to help to organize that. And I really like the mapping too, because not only does it help you to organize your thoughts, it helps others to see your thoughts. You guys are all very intelligent and you've got a lot of great stuff in your brain, but nobody can see it. So we got to find a way to deliver it. And if you're going to be delivering them notes and notes and notes and notes and pages and they're all over, that can be very difficult. And a map is a very easy, clear way for them to see what you're talking about. It also allows for extension, which is extending one discipline so that it can include the insights of the other disciplines. So it's stretching that discipline a little bit rather than taking it in its smallest part, but where can it be stretched to and how can we include other thoughts in the process? And finally, it's transformative, which in essence is placing things on a continuum. So one person may see the value over here, somebody else sees the value over here. So we may see it the same thing, we just may see its value a little bit different. So it's helping us to kind of understand that in the structure of things. So it's got some really helpful tools in there that will help us to practically understand how do we do it? How do we do this thing called interdisciplinary studies? What does it look like? The future chapters will give you more insights into it, some graphs, some charts, some models that will be really helpful for you if you come to a point where you want to start taking a problem apart. Hopefully you find it helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in chapter 10.